And welcome aboard as we are underway with the Oxford versus Rochester swim meet. Again, one of the last few meets before the students will go on to spring sports. In our first competition, the boys 200-yard medley relay. Thanks for stopping by. Swimmers are in the pool. And they'll be off to the races shortly. We got 4 in each team, 8 rows filled. That's a lot of people in the pool. And they're underway right now as they make their swim for the first part. Great to have you here. Once again, I want to thank Rod Charles for filling in some of our broadcasts, who actually is able to break things down really well. Former swimmer himself and coach. Rod Charles, thanks for the season. We appreciate all our volunteers that come out and help us. As the second leg jumps into the pool right now, as times are going up on the board. Leading the foray right now, lane number 6, and that's Oxford, actually. Official times will be wrapping up here. We'll keep you on top of it. Got an array of diving coming up as well. Now on the multi-events, we just label it per team. As I said, the names are just too much to go through, but right now we see our things starting to shape up. And a 58 in that strong lane number 5 right now, and that is a Rochester lane. It's followed closely by lane 6. They'll tend to put the anchors on in the middle for stronger scores on the competition. Once again, happy to be here at the natatorium. Full array of people in the natatorium. It does get kind of warm in the evening, even if it's a cold night outside. We still see a very, very warm situation. Coming up right after this race, the boys 200-yard freestyle. Hope you've enjoyed a lot of the athletics that we've been putting on OCTV. And once again, the best way to show your appreciation is either email us or contact our office and let our manager know that you love seeing the sports here on OCTV. We like bringing them to you, all different types. And as we get ready to wrap this up here, we'll see your first place finish to lane number 5, and the second would be lane 4. That would be Rochester, Oxford, and it looks like it will be lane 6. So you have 2 Oxford lanes coming in at the first and third position, and then Rochester Rochester with the first there. Oxford with 2 and 3 respectively. We have our next one coming up here shortly. Get ready for that.
At the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, ending abuse is not just our job, it's our promise.
And this is event number 2, the boys 200-yard freestyle. Representing Rochester in lane 1, Alex Reep, Jack Kozloff in 2, Matthew Stanvoy in 3 for Rochester, Max Bagan for Oxford, Aiden Boruda of Rochester, James McClear, Yale Han of Rochester, and Jared Dable as they make their swim right now. Time's coming in a little bit slower on the scoreboard right now. We always seem to have a little bit of trouble with that scoreboard. But they're able to get it back to going again, but we're showing a little bit of a challenge right now in keeping up with our current swimmers. Up after this one, the boys 200-yard IM. We'll have an array of diving coming up as well. Get ready for that. As the last of the swimmers come rolling in here, we'll see that final lane make their trip up to lane number 1. And everybody cheers on the last swimmer. That's one thing about swim and dive, and girls or even boys. Everybody participates and can be cheered on even by the opposing team. Rolling in, lane number 5, and that was Rochester swimmer. Number 2 in lane 3, Rochester. And number 3, third place, 4, lane number 4, that was Oxford, Max Began. That wraps up that one. And once again, another strong swim by the Oxford swimmers. Event number 3, boys 200-yard IM. We'll have some diving tonight. Now, we only have 2 divers, one representing Oxford and Rochester, so the diving, which sometimes tends to roll a little bit longer than ladies swimming and dive, will be a shorter period of time here tonight. Right now, the boys 200-yard IM about to get underway. Boys are up on the blocks and ready to proceed, and they'll be off here shortly. We have heat 1 of 2. Lane 3, Andrew Davis of Rochester. Ian Campo, lane 4 from Oxford. Noah McGaley, Rochester. And lane 6, Pavan Majuna, Junath, and that's Rochester as well. They're about to hit the mark and get ready to go for their third event of a 2-heat series. And they are off right now with the boys 200-yard IM. Scores will start to come in as the first swimmer makes it. And it looks like it might be lane number 4. I could be wrong on that. We'll find out here shortly. Oxford with only one swimmer in the first heat. And lane number 4, yes. From Oxford, Ian Campo. Sitting as he makes his way. He's not back in yet, okay? My apology. 2 Rochester swimmen's already hit the wall. And Oxford's coming in, making that final turn. Scores will go on the board shortly. Again, the IM with another heat coming up right after this one. In second slot, lane 3 right now, and that, of course, Andrew Davis of Rochester. Snatched away, number 3rd position in lane 5, Noah McGaley. Rochester, a very strong team here tonight. Doing that freestyle there on the IM. Hitting that 3rd mark right now in lane 5, and that's your Oxford swimmer. No, that's my apology. That's Rochester. Lane 4 has Oxford, and they are still waiting for their time, coming back on the 3rd round here. Lane 3 doing pretty well. Andrew Davis of Rochester. Your lane number 4 just checks in right now. And that, of course, Ian Campo. He's got 36:20 down and 2:31 so far on the item, on the complete race. Wrapping it up in the final stages here. Lane number 6 from Rochester. He rolls in, and that'll show you a winner of lane number 3. Andrew Davis of Rochester. Oxford comes in with a very respective second with Ian Campo. Heat 2 of 2 in the finals here. Representing Oxford, Cole Jacob in lane 2. Matthew Lee in lane 3 for Rochester. Liam Lindberg for Oxford. Lane 4. Rochester has lane 5 with Todd Lee, and then Keaton Wolf, and lane number 6. Chris Ducanson, Rochester, that's lane 7. So we have a fold-up situation, only a few lanes not used in this race. Part 2, the boys 200 IM. We do have 4 heats in the 50 freestyle. And then we'll go take a slight break and be back with some diving. Again, only 2 divers in the field tonight, so it should be rather quick through diving. Sometimes in the ladies, it seems to go on for a while. And obviously, they have a strong diving presence in Oxford, and that's a good thing to see all the other athletes doing what they do. Whether they're a diver or a swimmer, a lot of time goes into the effort here. These people, they're in the pool early in the morning, getting this stuff done before they even attend a class. That's one thing you find about swimming is a lot of the practices happen before the beginning of the day for a lot of these students. So by the time they get home from school, it's time for either an early night or to bed. Still rolling here on the second heat of the boys 2. We'll get to 4 heats coming up in the 50 free. That's quite an array of swimmers we're going to have. The pool sometimes tend to get a little busy down there as the officials want to move them through and get them off the deck. You got to thank the parents as well. Parents actually doing a really good job with timing, and it's really a family affair when you have a child or student in swim dive, as it is in hockey and other sports as well. But a little bit more of a participatory fashion here with the parents, as they use them as secondary timers to make sure everybody on the lanes are good. Coming in, spot number 5, and that would be Todd Lee. Second slot went to 4, and 4 is represented by Oxford, Liam Lindbergh, and third slot in 3 from Rochester, Matthew Lee. That wraps up the entire 200 boys IM. We're going to get to a 4-heat series here with the boys 50-yard freestyle. And again, all lanes are filled, except in the 4th heat. We have 8 times 4, 36 slots there, minus 1 in the last heat. 35 swimmers you will see hit the pool in the next few minutes. Pretty substantial array of swimmers with the two teams meeting here tonight. Oxford versus Rochester. First heat of the 50 about to get underway. Times are being recorded from the last race, and then we will go to a diving. Oxford represented by Nathan Leguest. Vincent Volmeyer, he is the representation from Rochester. And again, that'll be an array of dives, shorter program tonight. They're off to the first heat on the 50. Lane 1, Zach Chavez from Rochester. Oxford's Freddie Shepard. Sherer Seth of Rochester, Judah Brady, Mohammed Sadiqua of Rochester, Chase Pratt, Andrea Garcia Lopez from Rochester, and Josh Jensen of Oxford. Full array, and that'll wrap it up on that one. First one goes to lane 4, Judah Brady. Second, lane 6, and third, lane 2. Second, lane 6, Chase Pratt. And the third, Oxford in lane number 2, third, Freddie Shepard. So an Oxford sweep on the first part of the 50. 3 more heats to go. Full array, here we go. Let's list the swimmers as they give them credit. Lane number 1, Malicha Mosley. Lane number 2, Seth Divot from Oxford. Arian Farouk in lane 3, Rochester. Jonathan Kurzawa for Oxford. 5, Brody Flynn from Rochester. Robert Cabrera, 6 of Oxford. And in 7, Mario Perez Sanchez from Rochester. And 5, finishing out the second heat, lane number 8, Pablo Teles Nunez. And they're, as fast as we list them out, they're back from their race. And let's list those winners. Lane 4, lane number 6, and lane 1. 4, 6, 1 for Oxford. 6 Oxford, and lane 1 Rochester. Oxford picking up 2 on the there. Jumping to lane 3 of 4. And the 50 does move kind of fast. Let's list them. They'll be in the pool and back before we get that done. Lane 1, Travis Sam, Rochester. Luca Bolognesi of Oxford. Zayn Anarsi of Rochester. Lucas Morelli of Oxford. Mustafa Haig of Rochester. Andrew McCall of Oxford. Dan Anderson, Rochester. And then Joshua Cook from Oxford. I need a little bit of a drink of water after listening to them. They're back down the field. And once again, despite the 4 heats, they move quite fast when you get to the 50. In the third heat of the 50, we have lanes 5, 4, and 2. 5, 4, and 2. That would be Rochester at 1, Oxford at 2, and Rochester at 1. So strong showing for Rochester in the third of 4. Fourth heat of 4, we will go to a break, take a slight break, and then we'll come back with diving. So this is 4 of 4, only 7 lanes filled on this one. So far, 35 swimmers in this 50-yard freestyle. 1, Max Hernandez, Rochester. Christian Izek, Oxford, lane 2. Pato Marquise Ledsman of Rochester. Torin Devil of Oxford. Rochester's Gunnan Hog Min 5, Jack Desar of Oxford, and Connor Hosh of Rochester. 7 filled lanes there with the final heat. 35 swimmers in a matter of a few minutes right here at the natatorium. Let's give you the final results. 1, 2, 3 from 4 all the way through to lane number 4, Oxford. Lane 3 came in second, and that was Rochester and Oxford with lane 2, Christian Izek. Going to take a slight break. We'll be back in a moment. We're going to pick it up with diving. 2 divers are going to fill the air tonight. From Rochester, Vincent Vollmeyer, and from Oxford, Nathan Leguest. Right after diving, we'll pick it up with the second half of the swim meet this evening. We hope you guys are enjoying yourself. We appreciate you being there as we get ready for some diving here at the natatorium. You're watching Oxford Community Television. We're back in a moment.
Just think, what if we didn't have local TV and radio? Where would I go for local sports, local politics, a mayor, city council, stuff that affects me every day? How about health? Who's covering things that endanger my family? I need to know now, as it happens, from sources I trust, people in my community. No agenda, no bias like you find on cable and social media. Just facts. For news I can trust, I stay local. Support your local station. Text TV to 52886 today.
Welcome back. Good to have you with us. I hope you guys are doing well wherever you are watching this little contest. It's the diving part of the swim and dive contest. 2 divers, 1 from Rochester, 1 from Oxford. So this will move quite quickly. Representing Rochester is Vincent Vollmeyer. Oxford's representation, Nathan Leguest. A 102C difficulty, 1-4. And this is number 1 diver. And of course, this is from Rochester, Vincent Vollmeyer. He'll get ready to set his diving board. The 102 is the dive, the degree of difficulty 1.4. Again, we'll see what score the judges notch. And again, this is going to move quite quickly with only 2 divers in the field. As he gets ready, it takes a little bit of time. No time frame set to get ready for your dive, as it's your time. Up and in, and we'll go to the judging stand and see what they have to say. Judges will have their scores on the bottom, which you can kind of keep a nice little tab of what's happening. Oxford diver Nathan Leguest will be up on deck. 4-5, 4-5, and 4. So that's a strong showing right out of the gate for Rochester. Oxford's diver Nathan Leguest. They'll try to put some points up on the board for your Oxford Wildcats. His dive, a 102, degree of difficulty 1-4 at 1820 award. And here we are, 103, I should say, with a 1-7. That was his, the last dive was still listed there. So we'll see what his score will be. First dives for both of our divers right now. Judges knocking in the scores. And that is a very strong Oxford situation there. 6-0, 5-5, and a 5-5. So Oxford taking a commanding lead right off the bat. Second set of dives going to be coming up here shortly for Rochester, Vincent Vollmeyer. Now, once again, we always see the diving program with the ladies dive just grew immensely. When they first started doing these, we were down to 2 divers, maybe 3. And that's 512 D with a 1-7 award degree of difficulty for Vincent Vollmeyer. We'll see what the score is, but again, I'll tell you a little bit about the lady divers program. It just grew and grew and grew. And it's very neat to see that happen, as I'm meaning the program is doing wonders for the athletes. I'm reminded of Ellie Kempen, who started as a freshman, and I want to say she might be a senior this year or finishing out her senior year next year. But we saw her start her first night. Didn't know she wanted to dive. So it's a program that you grow with. Oxford's second dive coming in, Nathan Leguest. He has a 104C, degree of difficulty 2-2 as he jumps off the board. And that goes in the water. Now, for me, I think that's a good dive. Well, we'll see what the judges have to say. Both divers are sharing the boards tonight. Normally, they'll use one board, maybe 2, but Oxford sharing the far right, and Rochester the one closer to the judges. 5.56 and a 5.5. So they like what they saw with Oxford so far. Third dive, Nathan Leguest, or I should say Vincent Volmayer from Rochester. He'll be the third dive in the foray of dives. And we'll see what this is going to be listed as. A 103C, difficulty 1.6. And he drops in the pool. Vincent Strong at a 5 right across the board. They liked what they saw all the way 3 5s in a row, 15 on that one. Let's jump back to Nathan Leguest on the far board. We'll see what his dive is slated as. 512, 520, 5122D, 19 award degree of difficulty. Does he execute it? Well, the judges will tell us in just a moment. And the scores coming in for 5-0, 5-5, and a 5. So they pretty much matched each other on their dive there. Vincent Volmayer, the flyer, coming back up on the board again for his dive. And we'll see what he has listed here for a dive. And I believe this is our fourth round, I would have to say. I believe that's what we said. 301C, the degree of difficulty, a 1.6. He sets his board up and in, and there you go. And I guess the option of 2 diving boards with 2 divers, it lets you do the settings the way you want to set them. His setting in the fourth got him as we 5.0, 5.0, 4.0, kind of sitting consistent with your Rochester diver, Vincent Volmayer. Nathan Leguest up next. We'll see what his dive entails, a 301C. The degree of difficulty 1.6 as he sets his board up and jumps, and here he goes inside. Judges like what they saw. We'll see what they score this at. Judge award 5.045 and a 4.5. 2 of the judges kind of thinking maybe he could have done a little better with that one. Vincent Volmayer back up on the hill, or shall I say the diving board. Will be on the hill in the spring with softball and baseball. Looking forward to that. But we're at the pool tonight on a very cold night on the outside. Warm here in the natatorium. Vincent Volmayer, 401C, a 1.4 degree of difficulty, and does he execute it? Let's see what the judges have to say on this. 4.5 and a 5 and a 5, so not bad at all. The judges seem to like it. Now Nathan Leguest with a dive 401C degree of difficulty, 201B, I should say. 1.6 degree of difficulty, and he's already in the pool. Like I said, it is moving quite quickly through diving this evening with only 2 divers on the boards. 5.5, 5.5, and a 5.0. That'll notch it for him. Vincent Volmayer back up on the board. You know, it'd be interesting to find out. We could probably ask Rod Charles this. With such a quick turnaround in your dive, does it give you enough time to think? 402C, 1.6 on the degree of difficulty here. Vincent Volmayer just firing back-to-back dives as the Oxford diver is as well. Up and in the pool he goes, and no sooner did I say that Nathan steps up onto the board, waiting for the score for Vincent. And quite a rapid fire of dives just coming at you all at once. And, 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, it's 4-0 all the way across the 3. Nathan Leguest back up on the board. And we'll see what his degree will be, 403C with 2.2 on the degree of difficulty. And in the pool he goes. Let's see what the judges have to say. We'll take a slight break at the end of the diving competition. Come back with the second half of swimming. Right here on OCTV. You're watching Oxford Community Television. What are the scores? Probably one of the strongest dives tonight. Right there. 6-0, 6-0, 6-0. Brought in by Nathan Leguest of Oxford.
10 minutes, we'll be moving on to event 6.
And we will have the boys 100-yard butterfly getting ready for that competition. Lane number 2, Dev Shea. That will be Rochester. Lane 3, Zion Anasari from Rochester. Andrew McCall in lane 4 for Oxford. Mustafa Haig. Lane 5 for Rochester. And Rishi Filai for Rochester. One Oxford swimmer in the group. We had 3, 4, 5, and 6 at the Heat 1. And we'll see who picks up the B on this one. Number 4, 3, and 5. 4, 3, and 5. That would be Oxford, Rochester. Oxford showing a first place finish there. Now we're going to go to event 6, heat number 2. And this, of course, is the boys' 100-yard butterfly. They get the scoreboard lined up here. On event 6. Second heat of the butterfly, you're going to see lanes line up here 1 through 7. Lane number 1, Rochester. Lane 2, Oxford. Lane 3, Rochester. 4, Oxford. Lane 5, Rochester. 6, going to be Oxford and Rochester in lane 7. In the pool and off to the races they go. As they are down and approaching the heat here. We are still watching this one, and this is keeping us very busy with the second heat here. Rochester, Oxford pretty well represented in the heat. Showing number 1 at lane number 4. That's in Oxford, Stephen Matthias, who's had a 57.24 in the pool on this. Let's see if he can best his record here. Then we'll rapidly get to the 100-yard freestyle. The big 500 coming up. We got 2 heats in the 1. So here we go. The final swimmers coming in on this one. And we should show a lane 4, 5, and 7. 4, 5, 4, Oxford. Stephen Matthias strong in the event. 5, Matthew Stanovoy from Rochester, and 7, Rochester's Yale Hahn. That should wrap up that part of the competition. Let's go to event number 7. Event 7 to start here shortly, and that's, of course, the boys 100-yard freestyle. As they're getting everybody lined up, 2 heats in this one. 8 swimmers in the first heat. You got 7 in the second. And we get to the 500 now. With the 500 now, we do have 2 heats. That is quite a busy time there. So we're going to see some length come up here. First heat of the 100, the back boys 100 freestyle. And they are off and they are in the pool right now. As the event is underway, this is the Heat 1 in the event number 7, boys 100-yard freestyle. Coming up, they have the second heat, and then we have 2 heats in the 5. Normally, we see 1 big heat in the 5, but there's enough swimmers that want to participate, and they shall not be denied. Get ready for some spring baseball and softball. We'll be bringing it to you on OCTV. Hopefully you'll stay tuned for that. Great to have you with us here at the poolside tonight at the Natatorium at Oxford High School. Final swimmers coming in. They'll make their appearance. We'll get the score. Then they'll get to the second heat. And then off to the big one, the big 500, the one that just takes the energy out of everybody. Lane 5, 6, and lane number 4. So 5... Oxford, lane 6, Oxford, and Rochester with a 4. Second heat of this one will show Judah Brady, Oxford in lane 2. Matthew Lee, Rochester, who has a 51.98 on the pool from Rochester. Jack Kozloff, Oxford in lane 4. Rochester has lane 5, Shivan Manini, who has a 50 in this. Lucas Morelli, Oxford in 6 and 7. We have Pato Marquise Ledesma. Strong set of Rochester swimmers here. I keep saying I wanted to say diving, but we will get to the 500 shortly. It'll take a long set there. Normally the 500 rolls anywhere from 7 minutes out, so we have 2 heats of 7, so that's about a 14-minute race there in the 500. And then we plug away with the boys 200, 2 heats there, and then the backstroke at 100, the event number 10. So we are watching them roll in here. Let's get their final scores here for this event. This is event 7, and the meet is just cruising by without too much of a hitch right now. Everybody in heat number 2. Final scores will go up on the board. Lane 5 in first, lane 3 in 2, and 7. 5, 2, and 7. 5, Oxford, 2, no, 5, I should say, my apology, Rochester. Oxford in 2, and 7, Rochester. Rochester taking that race. We're going to get to the 500 here shortly. It's a big race. We got 2 heats. 8 in the first and 7 in the second. The pool will be filled. Oxford's big 500 swimmers. Max McGann, he has 5'10" on this event. Oxford swimmer James McClear, he has 5'15" in the pool on this event. And then in the final heat, it's all Rochester dominated in the 500. So Your strong swimmer there, Arian Farouk, who has 7 minutes, 9 seconds, and that's in the second heat. First heat of the 500, they'll have them in the pool, and there we go. One of the bigger races that we do watch, and you can just see the energy get drained from your swimmers. Again, we take a slight break and let you watch what's going on. Not going to really be updating you on times on this one. As I say, it's a full-out time and pacing event. You don't want to expound all your energy in the first part of the 500. That way you won't have any gas on the way home. And again, these the 500s usually range anywhere from 7 minutes each. Saw some strong diving from both Oxford and, of course, Rochester tonight. And as I say, they make their way down. And again, you definitely got to pace yourself in this race. I mean, that has got to be the big mind, I would say the thing that plays on the swimmer's mind, to know that you want to win it, but you don't want to expound all your energy. And you do have to say the parents do a wonderful job on both ends of whether they're in competition with 3 schools or 1 or 2 schools. They put an array of food and replenishment as the swimmers finish up. And after the 500, you'll see people, they'll just go right to the table and put some of that energy well needed back in their system. 500 tonight, I guess we can list the swimmers in the first heat. Dan Anderson from Rochester. Liam Lindbergh from Oxford. Todd Lee of Rochester. Max Began of Oxford, Bobby Reef of Rochester, James McClear of Oxford, Gunhong Min of Rochester, and Jack Desire of Oxford. Some of the other swimmers will be at the far end, letting them know how they're doing by putting placards in the underneath. Right now, it looks like we have a strong 5 and a strong 4. Lane 5, Bobby Reef of Rochester. Lane 4, Max Began of Oxford. Pretty much showing strong on both sides of the field. And we're not even at halfway through the race right now. And again, they still got another, probably a good 3.5, 4 minutes to go in this first heat. Then we'll jump to the second. As we are seeing it coming up about halfway through the race right now, maintaining a pretty good pace is Bobby Reef of Rochester, followed closely by Oxford's Max Began. Max showing some good times here on the 500 at 5:10:58. Strong one in the pool right now, giving that Rochester team a little bit of a run for their money. We are just coming up at about the halfway point right now. And then we'll have another complete heat after that. I'm taking a gander through the upcoming field here and seeing if any of the swimmers from the 5 are going to be transported over to the other events, and sometimes that does not happen, obviously, with the energy that's expounded. But I'm seeing James McClear in the second round of the 200. So James McClear, who actually represents Oxford here, will be in the second round of the boys 200 free. Beautiful facility here in Oxford, the natatorium, and it has grown over the years, and not only teaching safe swimming to the young adults in the community, but also allowing an athletic competition to take place to where other places cannot. And again, Oxford's swimming pool is definitely a great asset here, and a lot of new, well-rounded athletes have come to the natatorium, move on to go to college, and even come back to be a coach. At 5:22 right now, we are going to be putting the wraps on it, and I do believe some of our final swimmers are in. Right now, 5-4, and I'm not sure. Okay, 5, 4, and 6 are officially in. We still have some other swimmers out there. So unofficial right now, 5, 4, and 6. Bobby Reef of Rochester, Max Biggin in second from Oxford, and James McClear of Oxford. So as of right now, unofficially, but we have to wait till the final swimmers make their way in before we can call it a race. And I do believe we have one more out there that needs to make the round. And again, they will not give up on him, whether from Rochester, whether from Oxford. They will all get a chance to be cheered for. In fact, sometimes the cheers are up louder for the last racer to come in to encourage him, as you'll hear that on the deck. And very rarely do you see that in other sports. I mean, you see good sportsmanship, but to literally cheer for the last swimmer, and it's just a matter of doing your personal best. Unofficially right now, Rochester came up with a win there in lane 5, Bobby Reef. Lane 4 with Max Biggin, and then James McClear. We have a 5:08.96 on that Rochester swimmer. Now we'll get to the second heat of the 500, and that's coming up here shortly as well. One of our divers, well, they're all Rochester swimmers in this one, but Vincent Volmer, who is one of our, well, the only diver, I should say, from earlier tonight. And Vincent Volmer is part of the 500. Arian Farouk, Rishi Philly, Isaac Chavez, Mohammed Sadiqua, and Dev Shah. All Rochester in the pool on this one. Eight more events as we roll on here at the natatorium here in Oxford.
Rochester, we need counters for lanes 2 through 7. All Rochester need boys.
And these are all Rochester swimmers in this one. With one of the swimmers was a diver for Rochester. Well, they were all Rochester, I say. Vincent Volmer will lead it out in 2. Arian Farouk in 3. Rishi Philly in 4. Zach Chavez in 5. Mohammed Sadiqua in 6. And Dev Shah in 7. And in Rochester, the best on this, 7:09.72 from Arian Farouk. as they make their way down. Again, all trying to reach their personal best. Again, this is a full Rochester race here. So without saying, Rochester picks up the win in this heat. What lane, we'll find out. Eight more times in the pool. We have event 9, which has 2 heats. The boys 200-yard freestyle relay, that's 2 heats, full heats. The boys 100-yard backstroke, that has 2 heats involved. 3 heats in the boys 100 breaststroke. And then we cap it all off with the boys 400-yard freestyle relay. 4 swimmers in each lane, and that wraps up to event number 12. And the 500 again approaching not even its halfway point right now. We're just in the early stages of it. You got Rochester, other swimmers cheering their guys on. And again, it's from early on, we found out from Rod Charles, a lot of the swimming is not only about beating the other team, but mostly beating your own best and trying to better your swim, whether that be in any of the races. It's just about maybe taking care of yourself. Getting ready to almost hit the halfway point on this one. Your best swimmer from the Rochester area, Farouk, and he has a best time of 7:10. In the earlier heat, we had a best time, and that was an Oxford swimmer, I should say. In the pool, Max began at 5:10. That was the prior to this race. But again, the 500 always playing tricks on the mind. Do I start out fast, get ahead, and then try to make up, or do I hold back? It's like the marathon runner. You've got to make that decision and capitalize on it at the end, because at the end it's all out. That's one thing about the 500 compared to the 50 and anything else. As we approach the halfway point, or somewhere in between the halfway point, we'll see how they stand. Again, it's all Rochester right now, but let's see the lanes that are doing well. And they hit the wall coming back, and no time showing yet. Time's going up on the board at the halfway mark. Dev Shaw rolling in pretty good right now. Lane 2 and 3 doing well. So lane 2, Vincent Volmer, who was a diver earlier for Rochester. Arian Farouk in lane number 3 in a second slot right now. Coming up on the 5-minute mark, and the competition next will move us over to the 200-yard freestyle. 4 swimmers in each of the 2 heats that we will show, and we got all 7 lanes each side filled. At the 5:10 mark, as the diver, or I keep saying divers, as the swimmers pace themselves, all pretty much showing a match set there. We have one diver closer to our camera, rolling back a little bit in the backside. But again, they'll wait till everybody makes their last attempt and everybody gets cheered for, whether you're in the back, front, middle, or wherever. It's just something they do. And even Oxford will be cheering here for the Rochester swimmers. Reminded of a swimmer that was a very prominent swimmer here in the pool, Haley Kornberger, who actually would go on to swim up at Michigan State. I do believe that was a scholarship as well. Then later would return home to North Oakland County. And as Oxford already had a coach, Jackie Rank, she went down to Lake Orion and became the coach down there. She was honored last, I believe it was last fall, during an honorary ceremony of commemorating her achievements in the pool. And she got to come home, as her parents do live in Oxford. And she graduated from the Oxford High School system, but now probably quite conflicted at times that coaches the Lake Orion team. Our first and second swimmer have come in unofficial right now, 7-11 at 72. That's lane 2. That's Vincent Vollmeyer, who that's got to be a strong swim for him. Arian Farouk at 7:13. He had a better score there at 7:09. And then the third slot will go to, we're looking, it should be lane 4, but I'm a little confused on what's going on here. Third slot will go to lane 7, and that's an 8:04. So the time's not as maybe productive as they have been in the past. Arian Farouk having a stronger time before. Coming up shortly, we'll go to the boys' 200-yard freestyle relay. 2 heats there. The 100 backstroke, you have, I do believe, 2 heats in that race as well. 3 heats coming up in the 100 breaststroke. And 400 freestyle will finish it out in event number 12. We're going to take a slight break, and we'll be back in a moment. We'll pick it up on the last half of swimming. The 500 is over. We'll be back with the 200 freestyle in just a moment.
Hall of Fame defensive back, Darryl Green.
Hi, I'm here with a winning play for your home team. Keep your playing field safe by removing any old, unwanted, and unneeded opioid medication. The best defensive strategy It's to remove the red.
Learn more at fda.gov/health playbook.
As we are getting ready for the boys 200 freestyle, 2 events in there, full set of swimmers on this one, 4 in each lane, 7 lanes filled all the way across the board in 2 heats. Strong showing from Oxford, getting ready for the 200-yard relay, freestyle relay, 4 in each lane. Lane 2, Rochester. Lane 3, Rochester. 4, Oxford. 5, Rochester. 6, Oxford. 7, Rochester. Again, 4 in each. We have 2 heats on this one, 2 heats in the next one. Again, that was all Rochester in that last 500 heat, and that does take a lot out of the swimmers. A few of them swimmers have to cross over and do these other events after the 500, so the energy is just expounded immensely in these events, and you must remember, like any other sport now, you wouldn't go to football practice or baseball practice or even basketball practice prior to getting to school. A lot of these swimmers and divers, the ladies and the men, are in the pool like at 5 a.m. in the morning prior to heading to school for the day. So it's definitely a dedication that these athletes have to their sport to hit the pool that early in the morning before having to attend class. This is round 1, heat 1 of 2 in the boys 200-yard freestyle. We'll have heat 2, a few more of the other events going on, but once again, we hope you're having a good time watching. We like bringing swimming to you. I want to thank Dan's wife, my cameraman, who's doing double duty tonight. He's got a camera on the scoreboard and a camera in the pool. And we found out this vantage point, probably the better vantage point. We used to have a vantage point of down on the deck, and we'll still go down there if there's like a senior night or whatever, but the best way to see it, and the best way for you to see it at home, is from this vantage point. Right now, lane 4, 6, and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oxford, 6, Oxford, and Rochester in with 3. Unofficial right now. We'll get this official right now. We want to make sure we get everybody in this time. And that there will show... Still, I think that's going to be the official count there. 4, 6, and 3. 4, Oxford, 6, Oxford, 3, Rochester. It should jump to event 9, heat 2 of 2. Represented in these, Oxford, lane 1, 2, Rochester, lane 3, Oxford 4, Rochester 5, 6 for Oxford, 7 for Rochester. And once you get done with the 500, it pretty much goes pretty fast. But that 500 is one of those races that just tend to take a little bit of time and take a lot of energy to complete that. Full array tonight at the natatorium. It's always represented well by the parents on the deck and the parents and grandparents that come to this natatorium here. And it does get quite warm. I don't care how cold it is outside. You can definitely be warmed up fast if you're sitting up on the top side up here. Which has to be kind of difficult in the morning, cold morning hours to hit a warm pool. I guess I would imagine it feels pretty good. Once again, I hope you guys are having fun. Thank you for watching Oxford Community Television. We are so happy that you've joined us here and enjoy what you see. And the best way you can say thank you to us is contact our office and let them know that you love seeing the sports here on OCTV. Over the next few months, we might be getting very creative in trying to fund some of the television opportunity here. And again, we'd like to be able to bring as much as we possibly can. And we are in the works to see if that possibly can happen. Again, that's down the road, but we know we do have a lot of parents and grandparents who watch a lot of the athletic events that we have here on OCTV. Unofficially, right now in the Heat 2, it's 5, 3, and 4. 5, 3, and 4. 5 Rochester, 3 Rochester, Oxford third at 4. So evenly matched in both sets there. We're going to get to the boys 100-yard backstroke. We do have 2 heats in this one as well. Heat number 1 will have in lane 3 Alex Reap of Rochester, Jared Dabble of Oxford in lane 4. Chris Ducanson from Rochester in lane 5. Austin Streeter in Oxford, lane 6. And this will be event number 10 coming up here very, very shortly. And welcome back as event number 10 will get underway. They got the clinks out of the clock, or the problem out of the clock. It'll be event number 10, 2 heats here. The boys 100-yard backstroke. They're calling the timers to the deck, so that means that's always a good sign. And once again, it's pretty complicated with the timing of every lane out there, and they want to make sure they get it right. And sometimes it does cause a little bit of a glitch, but hey, we don't mind just as long as we get everything correct. So the swimmers are being brought to the deck. 2 heats here. Let's roll through them once again. Heat 1 of 2. Lane 3, Alex Reap, Rochester. Jared Dabble, Oxford from 4. Chris Ducanson, Rochester 5. And Austin Streeter, Oxford in 6. As they are up on the deck and almost ready to go here. Not that we need any to be hurried up, but they're getting timers ready. And we'll get underway back on the clock again. We have 2 heats in this race, and I do believe 3 in the next, and then the final is event 12, the 400, which is a lengthy race as well. In the pool, that's always a good sign. Let's get it going here on Oxford Community Television. This is event 10, heat 1, the boys 100-yard backstroke. 1 down, 1 back on the back side of things. Rochester in 3, Oxford in 4, Rochester 5, Oxford in 6. And coming down there, it looks like we have a strong showing with Rochester and Oxford neck and neck right now coming up. It looks like it might be an Oxford showing here. And that will be down again. Okay, yeah, my bad. That's 2 times down and back on the backside, backstroke. Hence the word backstroke. 100-yard, the 100 backstroke. So this will be the time back, and we do have a substantial lead over there in the far lane. And I do believe that is going to be Chris Duncanson from Rochester. Again, we'll see how this plays itself out. Right now, it looks like the unofficial is lane 5. Of course, Rochester 6 comes in second, and that, of course, is your Austin Streeter. As we wait for the final swimmer to come in, lane 4 is Oxford. That's Jared Dabble. And your last swimmer will roll in from Rochester. This should get us off to the next part of the competition, and that'll be heat number 2 of the boys 100-yard backstroke. The gentlemen will get out of the pool, and the next set of swimmers back into the pool. 7 lanes represented here, all across the board. Lane number 1, Rochester Matuz Grodzicki. Hope we're not butchering your name. Oxford's Jonathan Kursawa is in lane 2. Drew Brown, Rochester 3. Stephen Mateus, Oxford 4. Connor Hosh, Rochester 5. Dylan Meeks, Oxford 6. Sio Namura, Rochester 7. And they're underway for the second heat of the boys' 100-yard backstroke. As they'll make their way down one final time. Unofficially, lane 4, Stephen Mateus of Oxford. Second slot, number 7, Rochester Sio Namura. And third slot, number 5, fifth lane, Connor Hosh. Unofficial. We got to wait till everybody makes their way in. And it is official now. We move on to the next event, event number 11. This will be the 100-yard breaststroke. We have 3 heats in this one, full array of swimmers here, and then we finish it out with lane number 12.
All right, event 11, 100-yard breaststroke. There is 3 heats in this event, heat 1 and 3.
As they'll hit the stands, and this will be one of 3 heats to go. Down in the pool they go for the first heat of this one, and it's a 100-yard breaststroke. Rochester in 2, Suis Paza Moretti. They're just getting harder. Travis Sam in number 3. Ian Campo, Oxford, lane number 4. Rochester, Andres Garcia Lopez, and Shahara Sek for Rochester in 6. Oxford's got 1 swimmer in this contest. As that one swimmer's coming strong lead there. And I do believe that's going to be an unofficial result, and that might be lane 4. We got 1 in lane 4, 2 in 7, no, 2 and 6. 4, 6, 5 is what it is. 4 Oxford, 6 and 5 Rochester.
All right, heat 2 of 3, 100-yard breaststroke.
2 more heats in this one. Again, it's the 100-yard breaststroke. Morally matched field in this one. Lane number 1, Rochester, Andrew Davis. Lane number 2, Pavan Majuna for Rochester. Chase Pratt in lane 3 for Oxford. Joshua Cook, Oxford in lane 4. Christian Isaac, Oxford lane 5. Luca Bolognesi. Lane 6, Oxford. And in lane 7, by himself from Rochester, Mario Perez Sanchez for Rochester. Full array right across the board. 7 lanes filled up. We'll have another 7 after this, and then we'll hit the 12th and final event of the evening. And score tabulations will be in shortly. Once again, great to have you with us. Thanks for joining us on Oxford Swim and Dive. It's Oxford Community Television right here on OCTV. And that should be the unofficial result there as well. It'll be a 1, 4, and 5. 1, 4, and 5. That'll show 1 is Rochester, 5 Oxford with Christian Izak. Or I should say 4 is Joshua Cook from Oxford, and 5 Christian Izak. Third heat in this one is a matched field as well. From Oxford in lane number 2, Torin Dabble. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. If not, I'm sure I'll be corrected. Lane 3, Sio Nomura, Rochester. Keaton Wolf, number 4, lane 4, Oxford. Matuza Grodzicki, Rochester 5. Lane 6, Kea Cole Jacob, Oxford. And lane number 7, Noah McKaylee of Rochester. One more final event will take place right after this one. It'll be, of course, 12. And that is the 400 breaststroke. 4 swimmers in each heat, and we got all 8 lanes filled up. So it's going to be a lengthy finish here on a great night of swimming here at the natatorium. Once again, I want to thank the Oxford Cable Commission allowing us to do what we do here, and the funding that goes into bringing you these sports events and everything we do here at OCTV. Thank our cameraman tonight, Dan Zweiss. And everybody wants to know, yes, he did bring the green apple. Unofficially right now, it's 5-3-4. 5-3-4. 5, Matuza Grodzicki of Rochester. 3, Rochester Sio Nomura. And 4, the Oxford swimmer comes in third, Keaton Wolf. That'll wrap up that heat with the boys' 100-yard breaststroke. Coming up next, the final race of this evening. It'll be event number 12, the boys' 400-yard freestyle relay. We got a full field on this one. I'll give you lane assignments here, and we are heavily built with Rochester on one side of the pool, Oxford in the middle, and 1 Rochester solo lane in the far end. Lane 1, Rochester. Lane 2, Rochester. Lane 3, Rochester. 4, Rochester. Oxford will be in lane 5, 6, and 7. And then Lonesome Dove for Rochester out in lane number 8, Rochester. And they are off to the races already as we read the lane assignments. 400 relay on this one, and yes, it's got a full array. We have 32 swimmers in this event alone. It's a lot of pool time for these swimmers. We'll take a slight break after this heat, or after this race, and we'll come back with the final score of tonight's competition. A very strong Rochester hitting up an Oxford team here. I'm going to have to say it. Got somebody with their cell phone there. I guess they're videoing it as well. And we're getting the video of their cell phone. That's great. You gotta love it, right? As we are seeing the final part of this evening come together, 2 divers tonight doing very well for both for Oxford and Orion. Once again, it's all about your personal best. If you don't win the competition, you still win the race against yourself. And we'll see how this comes in. And again, we are approaching about the halfway point of the race here. They average out about 3:30, 3:20. Rochester showing strength in this one. Oxford's strength at 3:32. Rochester at 3:18. So a little bit bested by Rochester in this event. But we are right now roughly at the halfway point of this competition. And another great night here at the Natatorium in Oxford. Once again, if you get a chance, come on down, whether it be the ladies or the gentlemen. Watch them swim. You'll just take a whole new appreciation of what effort these athletes put into the pool. As we are now approaching roughly probably a good towards the end of it here, as the unofficial results will be showing up shortly. There's one of our fans making their way by the camera. We can't control that. I don't know what it is. I think the camera has a magnet on it sometimes. We put it up and bam, here they come. It's all good though. That's what it's all about, right? Not a problem. Last set of divers, I believe, in right now, and the unofficial results, we'll get them in just a moment. Lane 4 faring well. That's a Rochester lane. Lane 3, Rochester as well, and I'm not in lane 5. We have Oxford there, and they look like they may be represented at the 3rd slot in the race. As we are getting to the conclusion of a nice, great night of swimming here in the natatorium and diving. Again, my name's Jim Hughes, Dan's wife's on camera tonight, and once again, all the parents and volunteers that make this thing possible. Unofficially, right now, lane 4 and 3, both Rochester lanes. Lane 5 is your Oxford lane. Let's roll down the 3rd place. Liera Lindbergh, Max Began, James McClear, and Stephen Matthias. And that'll put the wraps on it as we still wait for some lanes to finish up here. We'll take a slight break. We want to make sure everybody gets in. We don't want to short you like we did on the 5. And we'll give a final score here from the natatorium tonight. As the final swimmers make their way to the end, people are starting to make their way to the exits. Coats are going on. It's a cold one outside tonight. Cameras are still on. We may catch somebody putting their coats on here. There you go. We still have one final lane out there. They're making their way back, and again, still cheering the person on as they make their way back home to the final part of this competition. And that person will hit the wall, and it'll all become official. Rochester 1 and 2, Oxford in lane 5 with the 3rd slot. We are going to take a slight break, and we'll be back. We'll have the final score of all the swimming and diving. You're watching Oxford Community Television. Stay there. Do not go away. The final score comes up right after this. Welcome back. Great to have you with us. And yes, the final score, as we kind of surmised early on in the race with the many swimmers and divers, well, not many divers, 2 divers, one each team. The final score, Oxford not faring as well. Rochester 109 and Oxford 71. Once again, about the swimming and diving, it's also about your personal best. A lot of personal bests probably happening this evening. But another great night at the Natatorium. Okay, I will close it out here. For Dan Twice, running the whole show, I'm Jim Hughes. Happy to be here from the Natatorium. One final time, your score, Rochester 109, Oxford 71. For Oxford Community Television and the Natatorium and the Oxford Swim and Dive team and everybody involved, good night from Oxford.